I want to tell you guys a story. I'm not sure how much you'll be able to relate to this, but I think it's kind of important to be descriptive with this. You'll find out soon enough. So, this is around 12 years ago, maybe right around there. I'm a 14-year-old kid living with my mother and her boyfriend in Texas. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2, and I hear my mom's boyfriend wake up. He's been drinking all night, and he hasn't passed out because he's been doing speed before he even came home from work. I can hear him mumbling to himself under his breath, and he sounds very agitated. I think at this point my mother's still asleep. He's walking around upstairs in his underwear and nothing else, talking something about that bitch. She doesn't know what she's talking about, that bitch. Then I hear him kick the bedroom door, my mom's bedroom door open, which he'd just come out of recently, I guess, and shut the door behind him, and now he's turned around and kicked the door open. Now, I'm awake. I spent a lot of nights back then awake. You could tell whenever my mom's boyfriend came home that he was in a bad mood or in a bad way, and even if he hadn't been drinking yet, the man was such an alcoholic that you could tell it was going to be one of those nights. His mannerisms would change, his expressions would change, his voice would change, his manner of speaking would change. He'd draw out his words with a certain almost theatrical arrogance, with a disdain and some strange, almost affected southern drawl, just very upset, very disgusted, very perturbed. So not long after I hear that bang, I get up and I'm ready. I'm ready to go. It might be one of those nights. Hopefully it'll just be a shouting match and maybe a thing or two get thrown, maybe some broken glass. It all gets swept up and we all forget. Because he always forgot, or at least pretended to forget. But he probably won't remember this. He's obviously completely blackout drunk. I hear my mom scream. He's leapt onto the bed and started punching her in the face. So she comes running downstairs and he pushes her and she falls. And thank God, to use a phrase, of course. She isn't hurt that bad. It's not very steep or long set of stairs. And he's throwing shit around. I can't really tell, but I get out of there and I grab my mom. And I threaten to call the police, and he says, "Oh yeah, you better, I'll fuck you up. You better, because your ass is mine. It'll take the police at least 10 minutes to get here, and in those 10 minutes, your ass is mine," he says. And he goes to the kitchen, and I can hear him start fumbling around. My mom's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, You can't send me back to jail. I'll fucking kill you both." I forget exactly what else he's saying. I'm freaking out. My hands shaking. Just shaking. My dog starts barking. I grab her because I know that he won't think twice about hurting the dog. He's, even in his state right now, he's reticent about putting his hands on me. And he'll put his hands on my mom anytime because he knows she won't call the police. He knows she won't press charges, and he knows she can't fight back. But that's a little bit different with me. I'm sort of a scaredy cat, a chubby, geeky kid, but Oh, I'll fight. And if it comes to that, so he very, very rarely ever even touched me, although he threatened me and tried to break my things and tried to kill my dog once. But even at his absolute most psychotic and drunk, he knew better. It made me wonder, because my mom always made excuses for him. Oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know. I think he knew what he was doing. I sort of forget exactly the manner of events happened next, but I think my mom got in her car and left, or locked herself in the bathroom. But I think eventually he went into the garage to smoke. And my mom told me to hide. I just remember, I don't know where she went, but I knew that I was holding my dog. I was sitting in the bathtub of my bathroom with the door locked while he's just stomping around. And I hear things shatter, and he's fucking up the kitchen. And I spent about probably too long painting you this picture. And this was just one night of about 3 years of my life, back when I was a teenager. Now, I don't know how well I painted that story, and I don't know how well you, as the viewer, can relate to it or put yourself in that position or imagine what it might have been like. But for me, it was horrifying and very traumatizing and scarring. And there was a lot of that when I was young. And he was the last, but he was not the first boyfriend that was like that. It was, a different time of my life. I mean, things aren't like that now. With my mother or me, or, I don't have to live like that anymore, but there was about 6 or 7 years of my life that were a lot of days like that, in different houses and different places, and even in different states. But there was a lot of domestic violence and horror, and people putting their hands on my mom, and when I was younger, people putting their hands on me. Now, I thought that was evil, and I can never imagine being the kind of man who would do that to women or children, especially my own family. Even if I wasn't related to the kid, and if I wasn't married to the mother, I can't even imagine doing that. Now, evil, immoral, wrong, right? But I'm an atheist. I don't have an objective morality to subscribe to appeal to attest to compare to, right? So, who am I to say that was wrong? Well, if you hear a presuppositionalist, somebody who uses that kind of language, what standard are you appealing to? Just know that not a single bit of that is wrong in the Bible. I called my mom a bitch and a coward, and I called those men assholes and drunkards and fucking and fools and scumbags. I dishonored them. I forget if it's the 4th or 5th commandment. The Bible suggests I should have been stoned to death, disowned at the least, and ejected from the household. My mother, under the biblical code, had absolutely no right whatsoever to object on any grounds, moral or otherwise, to her treatment. No, the male of the household, this drug addict and alcoholic and abusive, psychotic monster. No, he was the one who was moral and justified in all he did as the head of the household. Just think about that. Always keep thinking critically.